Hi everybody, Brittany here again. Today I kind of moved my area where I am doing my training because the storms have kind of made the lighting not so great. I also have my dishwasher running. Sorry, I didn't plan that very well. So that's the strange noise you hear in the background. So today I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to do kind of a parent's guide as to what's next. So when you receive your diagnosis from developmental pediatrician or psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever route that your family has taken, sometimes it's difficult to figure out what's next, especially if that individual hasn't laid it out for you or you've not experienced it before. So I wanted to go through and kind of share some things that my family and I did that were helpful, things that I wish I would have known right after our child was diagnosed, and things that you can look for in your communities. So just kind of as a personal note from me, I just want to let you guys know that when you get that diagnosis, it's okay to feel nervous or scared, angry, relieved, or some people even feel numb, and that's okay. It can feel like a shot in the gut, or it can feel like a weight lifted off your shoulders. Some people feel like that the diagnosis is horrible and they can't believe it, whereas some people feel that they finally have a name for what's going on and now they know how to fight it. That's kind of what I look at it as. The label for me and my family is more so our weapon to ensure that my son receives all the services and all the help that's available to him. And another thing, for some people, some people it takes a little while to go through that grieving process. I know it sounds strange, and I've mentioned it before about a grieving process when your family member, your child, gets an autism diagnosis or another developmental diagnosis. But it kind of, in a way, you do feel like you're losing something, whether that is the child that you had envisioned in your mind, or for me, it was the loss of what I thought was a potential future for my child. And it took a little while for me to get to the point of acceptance. So don't worry about jumping straight to wearing your autism pride shirts or going to autism marches. Take your time to fully understand the diagnosis, to understand what that means for your child and your family, because what it means for my family won't necessarily be the same for yours. So, in another note, this training is based off of my recommendations, my family's experiences, and the services that I am aware of. If you guys have any other services in your local area that you would like to share with people, please feel free to post those in the comment section. I would love to share that with other people, whether that be on the YouTube page or the Facebook page. So where do I start? Where should you start? That's not for me to decide. But my first suggestion is take a breath. My professor at Penn State tells me this all the time, because I get worked up easy, as you can tell. And she usually tells me to stop and take a breath. And as crazy as it sounds, it really can help. this journey can take time, as many of you probably have seen. For some families, just getting that diagnosis has probably taken you several months, some people even a year or more. So you guys, I know you're prepared to wait. You've had to wait before. Unfortunately, that piece of paper that they put in your hand that says, yes, it's autism, doesn't mean the waiting's over. So take a deep breath and just be prepared for a little more waiting. The next thing you could do is, you've probably already been in contact with your insurance company, but call them again and see what the company will pay for. Will they cover ABA therapy? Will they cover speech language? Will they cover occupational therapy? And see if there are any other services they'll pay for. My family is TRICARE, so I have a lot more knowledge on the TRICARE aspect of insurance. So if you need help and you're in a military family, get a hold of me. Whether contact me on the Facebook page again, you can email me at dittaremotecoaching@gmail.com, and I'll try my best to walk you guys through the ECHO program and the EFMP program to help you guys get set up the services that your child needs. And if I can't help you, then I will find someone who can. I don't have enough familiarization with other insurances, so I would recommend just calling them to find out what they offer and how you have to set that up. And another recommendation that I would give is research. Research after you get your approval, research the clinics that you want your child to attend. If you've only got one clinic, unfortunately, that might be your only option. But now with telehealth, if your insurance company offers telehealth, maybe you can do it from home. Also, research the therapists who are providing your child with therapy, whether those are your BCBAs or their companies, whether that is your speech therapist or your occupational therapist. Do a little research on them and their companies and their record and see if what they have done in the past feels like they'd be right for you and your family. Also, I would recommend interviewing them. I've worked with several different individuals in the ABA field, and everybody has a different take on applied behavioral analysis, which is really cool. Some people have hardcore experience in verbal behavior. Some people have more experience in different aspects of newer types of styles like video modeling or a whole bunch of different types of therapies. So ask them what their feeling is, what their spin on different ABA is, and see if they feel like the right person for you. You don't have to settle just because they're there. I would also recommend, when you're doing the research, to find out about the therapies. Find out what ABA means and is. And if you want, I've also done a previous training on what in the world is ABA. So go ahead and check that video out, and that'll help give you a quick glimpse into some of the aspects of ABA. It is just a very quick glimpse for a 30-minute video, but there's so much detail about ABA that I couldn't incorporate it all into one training. Look into what types of things that maybe your speech therapist would do, or your occupational therapist. A lot of occupational therapists use sensory, certain types of sensory therapy that ABA actually, it just kind of doesn't mesh because there's not scientific evidence to back it up. So I will make sure that I post the name of that therapy in the comments, because it has slipped my mind temporarily, but I will make sure I put that in there for you guys. And one other thing I would recommend researching on is a support network. Whether you have a close-knit family here in your local area, or you're a military family like me and you rely on friends, I would still look at finding a community, whether it's a social media community or a group that meets once a month, once a week, just to talk. It really does make a difference. I have had such wonderful and powerful experiences just on social media with the local groups here, and I would highly recommend you look into a local support group. Even if that's not your thing, they'll also have resources and may be able to help you with your insurance and understanding how to navigate different insurances. So how long do you have to wait? I wish I had an answer for you. It really depends on a few things. It'll depend on the availability of services in your area, the availability of therapists in your area, your insurance, again, and if the clinic has a spot for your child. ABA specifically usually does a one-on-one program. So that means one adult to one child. And if there's not enough adults, then you have to wait until either a child moves up out of the program or a new therapist is hired. And that goes with speech therapy too, because speech therapy is generally a one-on-one program when it's private speech therapy. School speech therapy and occupational therapy might be a little different. So if your child is school age, make sure you speak to their IEP teacher or their speech therapist or occupational therapist at the school. You may have to wait for the evaluation, and they have to complete the data and all that for the evaluations before they can authorize your child to start therapy. That also will evaluate how many hours your child will be able to receive, whether that's ABA therapy or speech therapy and so on. And again, many places have a waiting list. So my recommendation, and again, these are just recommendations, but and if they say we have a waiting list, then say, please put my child on the waiting list. Because if a slot opens up unexpectedly and your child's on that waiting list, they can take that slot. So it's kind of, in some cases, it's a first come, first serve basis. Sometimes it depends on your insurance. That's a good question to ask the clinic when you put your child on the waiting list, if that is determined by which insurance your family has. And I know I keep talking about insurance, but insurance unfortunately has a huge role on how much services our children can receive. So I would definitely look into all their requirements right after that diagnosis is made and find out what you can get and how many hours and things like that. So there are other ways you can get services other than the traditional ABA therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. IDEA has a Part C, so the Individual with Disabilities Education Act. Part C is for infants and toddlers. So if your child is under the age of 3, and I think some states it might be a little older, make sure you look into your state's specific early intervention program. They can receive early intervention services. I used to work early intervention for the state of Georgia at Babies Can't Wait. It is a fantastic program. They have some of the most dedicated and wonderful people working with these little babies and children. With them, you also have to go through a screening process to determine if there are developmental delays to receive these services, at least through the state of Georgia. Again, look at your state specifics. You have to have at least one significant delay in a developmental area, or two or more moderate delays in developmental areas. You do not have to have a diagnosis of any sort. If there is a developmental delay that is moderate or significant, then you can qualify for early intervention. And the awesome thing that I found with early intervention is they helped my child get into a special education preschool program here in the state of Georgia. He is doing fantastic in the school, and Babies Can't Wait has been amazing, and they are really the reason why we got in. So if your child is under the age of 3 and you believe they need assistance, definitely check your state's early intervention program to see what they can offer you and how they can help. Other states or other programs that might be available, here in Georgia, we have the Phoenix Center, and it feels like not too many people know about the Phoenix Center unless you've worked with them. This is run by the Child and Family Services, and they can offer a whole slew of different programs. But one of the awesome programs they do offer is they can provide funding and financial assistance for things that maybe your insurance doesn't cover. So if your insurance doesn't cover larger diapers because your child has a disability that makes it to where they haven't been potty trained or can't be potty trained, they will help you with diapers. They will help you with putting your child into social groups, such as, like, if you want your child to acclimate to different social situations like sports or games or camps, they might be able to help provide funding to get your child a slot for those camps or sports. They can also provide other types of assistance according to the child's diagnosis. This program does require a diagnosis to assist your family. So make sure you call your program, see if you have one in your state. Again, not every state's the same, and see what they can offer you. Another great resource that I absolutely love are the Easter seals. If you're a military family with a child with a diagnosis and you guys are Exceptional Family Member Program recipients or ECHO, or, well, I believe you have to be both, you might qualify for respite through EFMP and Easter Seals, which is completely paid for by your branch of service. So here in Warner Robins, it's paid for by the Air Force. Your spouse has to be active duty. Your child has to have a diagnosis, and you have to go through a process to get approval for it. And then after the approval, you'll get to meet different providers and choose a few. My family has 2 providers. One is our primary, one's a backup. So we can take respite as we need it. And the awesome thing is Easter Seals and the EFMP families have raised the monthly hourly allowance, or hours allowance for the month, to 40 hours of services. So you could go on a date night for 5 hours each time every single weekend if that's what you want to do. And the reason I push respite is because we all need a break. We all need that me time. Respite is a fantastic way to do it. I would also, if you are not a military family, not EFMP, TRICARE, look and contact your insurance to see if they will provide some sort of respite care for your family. There's also, of course, if your child is school age, they may be qualified for IEP, an individualized education plan, or a 504 plan. These will allow your child to have different services through the school that is paid for by federal funding. So you don't have to worry about any money. The school doesn't have to worry about money. It's going to be paid for. And another one that I would recommend is just look into local services and local community supports in your area. Here again, in Middle Georgia, there's Central Georgia Autism. They do a lot of really cool programs. I believe it is at the end of every month they do a sensory-friendly movie at the theater up in Macon off of Zebulon Road. I think it's like the AMC 16 or something like that. But during the sensory-friendly movie, they keep the lights up a little bit, they turn the sound down, and they also don't care if your child runs around screaming, because every child, I went before and I took my son, every child was running around screaming, the kids were playing together. It was fantastic. I didn't have to shush my son every 5 minutes. I just let him have fun. He got to watch the movie he wanted to see, and he got to meet new friends and play with them, and I didn't have to feel the stress of taking him to a movie with other families who may not understand. So your community may offer something similar. I know in the South, some Publix grocery stores offer a sensory-friendly day at the grocery store, which is super cool. Again, they changed the lighting, and for autistic and disabled adults, they offer sometimes they'll offer special checkout lines where the people don't rush you and they take their time, and it's really a great program. Another thing that you might want to look into is some businesses offer sensory-friendly, autism-friendly services or days. I know Chuck E. Cheese has a sensory-friendly night. I believe those are like Sundays, so look at your local Chuck E. Cheese. Also, if you have a Monkey Joe's, look into some of their programs. Monkey Joe's here in Warner Robins has an exceptional needs night, which they close down the entire facility to the public and only allow exceptional families in. So your child can go run through any part of the play area they want. They can jump in every single bouncy castle. And if your child needs assistance in the bouncy castle, you're allowed to get into the castle and help them. They say don't jump in it, but honestly, as long as you're not going crazy, they don't seem to freak out. I absolutely love Monkey Joe's it's either special needs night or exceptional kids night. Check the websites for that. And I mean, just look around your local community. Sometimes you'll see special events running specifically for your child's needs. Disney World and Legoland and Universal, all the really big parks, seem to have great autism programs as well. Our family took our child to Disney World, and it was amazing. They have a program where you can get, it's called a Disability Access Pass, and you don't have to wait in the lines where your child may have a temper or a tantrum, throw down, sensory overload, and waiting for children with developmental delays and autism is super difficult. And they don't have to do that at Disney World. You just come back 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, whatever they say, on your little pass. It's like a fast pass. They also, if you have a stroller, you can have your stroller marked as a wheelchair and push the stroller anywhere through Disney World, any line. It was amazing. I loved it. They also have family centers in every single park of Disney World. So if you need to take your child out because they're having a meltdown, because after 4 or 5 days of Disney, if your child doesn't have a complete meltdown, please let me know what you did because you are a superhero. My child had a complete meltdown after 4 days at the park, and I carried him stiff as a board walking through the park like this, and the amazing cast members cleared a path for me and my son and my husband to run through carrying the screaming child to the family room where we could let him just sit there and scream until he was finally relaxed. And we stayed in there for like an hour until he was okay to go back out. It was amazing, guys. There are so many different programs out there, and there are so many more accepting people than there used to be. So take advantage of it. So I also included several things that I wish I would have known right after my child was diagnosed. The first one is I didn't do anything wrong. When we first suspected that my child had autism, the first thing that went through my mind is I am a terrible person. I went to school for teaching. I should have seen this. Why didn't I see it sooner? We could have got him help sooner. What did I do wrong during pregnancy? Did I not take my vitamins, which I had? Did I do something that could have caused this? And it took a while, but I finally realized I didn't do anything wrong. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with my son. He's just different. And again, it might take you some time to come to that conclusion yourself, but do it on your own time. Another one is I feel like I shouldn't have let people take my hope away. When Brendan, my son, was first diagnosed, he was completely nonverbal. He wasn't really even babbling that much. And they said, don't be surprised if he never speaks. So when you hear something like that, it makes you want to vomit. That's the only thing I can think of. And you hold that in, like you can feel the anxiety ball in the pit of your stomach. And it's just like you kind of, they chisel a little bit of that hope away. Don't let anybody do that to you, because yes, some children with autism don't speak. I'm not going to say for sure I know whether or not your child is going to speak, but I'm also saying don't give up hope. Don't stop working as if they're going to learn to speak, because one day they might wake up and say, hey, Mom, how you doing? And you'll be blown away. Or they might communicate with sign language, which totally blew my mind when my son was using sign language. My son now is fully verbal, so I am super lucky and super appreciative to his therapists and his teachers, because I don't think I could have done it without them. We couldn't have done it without them. Another thing is, it seems super hard at first when you're with everything, or you can't figure out what's going on, you don't understand a lot, so it feels like it's too much sometimes. But it will get easier, and it'll get harder. It's like a roller coaster. It's not going to all of a sudden just one day not be a problem. You're not going to have challenging behaviors, because your child's human, regardless of diagnosis or not. They're going to have days where they have temper tantrums. They're going to have days when they just have bad days, and there are going to be days that they have good days. So don't get too frustrated and caught up with how difficult today is, because it could get easier the next day, and you just got to take it one step at a time. My journey is not going to be the same as your journey, because our children are two completely different children. So what works for my family may not work for yours. So kind of to go hand in hand with that is, yes, there are so many frustrations that come with a child with special needs. Um, and maybe frustrations isn't the word to use. But there are times that it's going to feel harder. And there are times that it's going to feel like, man, I don't think I could do this. But I have noticed that we as special needs families get to have bigger celebrations. And that's just me. Maybe you don't feel the same. But a child generally who's neurotypical, who doesn't have problems, you just kind of expect them to go on their way to be able to hit every milestone that they're supposed to hit. When our children hit a milestone, it's a celebration. Celebrate it. Pick up your child, run around screaming, yes, you did it, because it really is an achievement. It's a huge deal, and it needs to be celebrated. So, and also, again, my journey is not going to be what your journey is. And again, what works for my family isn't going to work for yours. So, all this advice, even the advice I'm giving you right now, you need to evaluate it to see if it'll work for your family or not. Because I can't tell you 100% that everything that I've said today is going to even matter to you or make a difference in you and your child's life. That's something that you as your family and your child need to work out kind of together. You guys are a team. Make sure you work together as a team. Another thing is there are going to be people who don't understand you and your family and your child. There are going to be people who give you dirty looks because your child is having a meltdown or screaming in the grocery store or at a restaurant or the library or, just anywhere, period. And there are going to be people who question your every single move. Why are you doing this for your child? And you're also going to get those people that look at you and say, it's probably because you got your child vaccinated. Do not believe that. Please, vaccines do not cause autism. Let me say that again. Vaccines do not cause autism. Don't let these naysayers and these people who will give you dirty looks just because your child is being human and is having a rough day, don't let them eat at you. Because honestly, their opinions don't matter. When you walk away from that person, they're not going to have a second thought about you. So don't take a second thought about them. It doesn't matter. And there are going to be people who you see in the grocery store who look at you and you just know, oh, they understand. Or wherever, they know what your struggle is. And you can turn to them for help if you want. I personally, if I see you in the grocery store and your child is having a meltdown, I'm not going to help you. I know that sounds bad, but is a reason, because I don't know what your family's going through. Maybe you're trying to put a behavior on extinction, and by me coming up to you and your child, I have just reinforced that behavior. I'm not going to do that to you and your child. That's not fair. So if I see you in the grocery store, I won't come up to you unless you wave at me and say, please help me. And also, so I am going to be a geek for a few minutes more. I guess I've been a geek for about 35 minutes. But if you see me in the grocery store and my child is having a meltdown, don't come up to me unless you know I need help. I like to think of this as kind of like, so everybody uses that Hunger Games meme, the three fingers thing where Katniss blows the kiss and does the three fingers. If you want to and you see me and my child is doing that, you can do that little sign to me, and if I do it back, we're good to go. If I see you and I don't make that sign, that means save me. So you guys can come help me if you want, but honestly, I am just trying to make it through just like you are, to get my child in and out of whatever situation we're in without making as much of a scene as possible. But, you know, that's not very likely. And the last kind of thing that I wanted to talk about kind of goes hand in hand with that. I know I've done this, and I know a lot of people do this still. Don't leave because people have made you feel embarrassed about your child's actions. And I am so sorry that I keep wiping my nose, everybody. Allergies are killing me. But don't leave because you're embarrassed with that your child's having a bad day in public. Again, the people in that grocery store aren't going to give you a second thought, so don't give them a second thought. And just push through the best you can. You can do this because you are a parent. You are an amazing parent. You are a super parent. You've got this. And if I say that I can handle it, which if anybody has ever met me, you will see how high strung and how crazy I can be. If I can handle it, anyone can handle it. So I know you'll be a super parent, be able to push through, to not deal with the embarrassment that people try to make you feel when your child is having a meltdown or a bad day at the grocery store or at the library. You've got it. And it'll be okay. And if it comes down to it, and you've come to the point where you can't do it anymore, or you need help, ask. Ask your spouse. Ask your mother. Ask your mother-in-law. Ask your neighbor. Ask me. Ask somebody, and we will find a way to help. We will get you that break. Even if it's just taking a couple hours to yourself, which can super recharge your batteries. Or it's just 5 minutes in the bathroom where you can do your business and not have little fingers coming underneath the door. You deserve that time. So ask. For my helpful links today, I've kind of done something a little different. I have included a link to Autism Speaks, specifically to their ABA clinics and therapist page. So you can type in your area code and it'll bring up the clinics in your area, or you could type in your state and it'll look up in your area. I've also included several states' early intervention programs. So for the state of Georgia, I've included theirs, which is Babies Can't Wait. I know I have quite a few followers from Ohio. So Ohio folks, I have put on your early intervention program for you. I know I have some Texas folks, so there's something for you guys too. And for my PA and my North Carolina folks, something for you guys too. Unfortunately, I couldn't go through all the 50 states and include them all. So all you have to do is type in the name of your state, an early intervention program, into whatever search engine you like, and it should bring up that early intervention GOV page. Get a hold of them, talk to them about it, and see what you can get your child, as long as they fall in the age range that your state requires. So that's kind of it for my training today, everybody. Again, thank you guys so much for coming out. I know today was a little long and it was completely different than what I normally do, but I hope I was able to give you guys some good advice, to give you guys some new resources that you didn't have before. And again, if you want to talk to me personally, please feel free to message me on Facebook or leave a comment, or email me at dittoremotecoaching@gmail.com, and I will definitely get back to you guys and help out in any way I can. Whether that's walking you through the TRICARE Echo program or helping you understand what ABA is, or if it's trying to get you into Babies Can't Wait, let me know. And I hope to see you guys next week. If you guys have ideas on any trainings that you want to do, post those also in the comments. Thank you guys. Make sure you share and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Bye.